Hello everyone. Today I introduce my daughter Christina. She is a feminist. She very like history of feminist movement. Today she can introduce feminism to every Chinese people and all people. I ask her many questions. The first question is, Christina,
Yes.
what is feminism?
Well, basically, feminism is the advocacy for all genders and races and to recognize systems of power and how women are mostly cheated on and silenced when, throughout history. It's to recognize and to fight for the rights of all people.
Okay. But someone think feminist very hate men. They don't like men's rights. What do you think about feminist hate men?
Well, see, that's a stereotype. Feminists don't hate men. They actually, most feminists actually advocate for men's rights. And most women understand that men also face systems of oppression in our society. Like, for example, like the male suicide rate and how men usually go to violence for a lot of their problems because in our society we have these gender roles that say that certain, if you're a man, you can't do these things, you can't be emotional, you can't express yourself because that's not what a man is supposed to be. And examples like that is just one of the things that feminists do to, help and create equality. Because, like, feminists who hate men aren't feminists, because real feminists fight and understand, like, that we're all facing systems of oppression in some way in our society, and they're trying to dismantle that, whether that be through the patriarchy or in politics. Feminists, their priority isn't about, putting down men. It's about finding equality.
I have a question. Do feminists be a woman?
Yeah, exactly. Like what I said earlier about how feminists, they strive for equality. Yeah, you don't have to be a woman to be a feminist. The name feminism has nothing to do with how feminine or how masculine you are. It's just depending on how willing you are to fight for equality. So all gender identities can identify as a feminist.
Yes, I think so. Because in first feminist movement for women's voter rights, many men participate in this movement. I have a question. Do you know Taliban control the Afghanistan regime right now? And the Taliban ignore the women's rights.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you think situation in Afghanistan right now?
I think it's really horrible that a lot of the basic rights that we have in America, that we are really privileged to have, that really shouldn't be a privilege and should be something that every person deserves, is not the same in Afghanistan. And we really need to be talking about it and making a difference because some people aren't going to do that. And I think feminism is really important for children and women in there who are fighting.
Yes, but fortunately, the first news conference of the Taliban in this morning, the Taliban spokesperson said they will defend women's rights,
Really?
but under Islamic law. But Taliban regime will let many female work in government. So Taliban was make us very surprised. But we hope they can do what they say. Maybe Taliban is different. 20 years ago, the Taliban is ignore female rights, but right now maybe they change. And other question is feminist is equalist and humanist.
So yeah, that's like a really common question. A lot of people are like, well, if feminism is fighting for equality, if feminism is fighting for, you know, all of humankind and, you know, equality and fairness, why isn't it called that? Well, we have to remember the origin of feminism. Feminism first started out as defending for, you know, women and women's rights, the advocacy for that, you know, the right to work, the right to get education, the right to vote, all those things. And being called feminism and labeling it as feminism really reflects on our history. Because, you know, throughout history, women have always been, you know, cheated and silenced and defranchised on throughout history. And naming it as feminism reflects on that history, and it really like highlights the change that history has gone through. And secondly, the people who call themselves equalists, people who say that, oh, I'm a feminist, but I don't call myself a feminist. Like, I fight for all the things that feminists fight for, but I don't want to call myself feminist, are really just afraid of supporting women's rights. There's nothing wrong with being a feminist. There's nothing wrong with that, because feminism is just, you know, it's like a cafe, right? You can sell more than coffee at a cafe and still be called a cafe, right? Just like how feminism can fight for more things at once, right? There's the men's rights, and then there's Black Lives Matter, and then there's, you know, sexual assault. There's a lot, right? Feminism is all of that. And another thing is, equalist is very vague, because to say that you want equality is to recognize that something is not equal, right? If you were like, oh, I want everything to be equal, you want equalism, which means that you know that it's not equal right now. So then what is that imbalance? Where is that inequality? If you point out where that inequality is coming from, you can get closer to the root of the problem. Because everyone fights for equality, right? Everyone wants to be equal. But if you don't point out what that problem, what that imbalance is, you won't get anything done, right? You can't get anything done, because you're saying, when you call yourself an equalist, you're saying that you have no priorities. If you're saying that, oh, I don't prioritize anything over anything else, which is good, because you see everything as equal. But everything is not equal right now. There are things that need more priorities than others. It is not saying that something does not matter, but it's just in our society, we need to prioritize things if we want to get things done. Just like how, you know, during the BLM movement last year, a lot of Trump supporters and conservatives and white people said all lives matter against Black Lives Matter. Well, of course, all lives matter, right? But whose lives matter? Because we know that all lives matter, but which ones aren't mattering right now? And that's what feminism is. It's pointing out what things matter right now and that need help right now. And calling yourself a feminist not only advocates for women's rights, it also, you know, it destigmatizes the fear of women as well. And that's most of the reasons.
Okay, but someone said it's a conflict between Christian value and feminism. You are Christian. What do you think this issue? Christian value conflict feminism. Do you think so?
Well, I think all religion was built, you know, to be oppressive to women, right? There's so many rules and religions that are used as tools to silence women and to not let them participate in groups, right? We have abortion laws, we have marriage laws, We have drinking laws. Some women can't even do things on their period. You know, they can't cut their hair. They have no right to their own bodies. They're sold like merchandise, right? So I think the biggest issue is that we need to unlearn the things that our religion has taught us, because you like in the Catholic Church, in the Roman Catholic Church, a lot of the corrupt higher officials, they took advantage of what the church meant, and they did that for their own like personal goals, right? Like how they cheated and scammed a lot of the people there to earn a lot of money. You know how the church was extremely wealthy? I think that religion in and of itself is not feminist, because like until we unlearn the sexism and misogyny that religion has in itself, then we can move forward, right? Because like it is men who make these laws. It is men who make these religious laws. It's not women. Okay?
No. I think the Bible told all men and women equal, and God created a human being, all is equal. This is feminism base, the doctrine base, actually come from Bible. This is not conflict between feminism and Christian value.
Well, there's a lot of oppressive laws in the Bible. You know, like in the First Testament, like I don't know a lot about the Bible. I'm sure you do. But like in the First Testament, you know that men and women are not equal. They should be, but men have, you know, taken advantage of that and placed us at a disadvantage.
Oh, the last question is, how do you see the relevancy and the importance of feminism in this world and in US?
Well, I think it's still really important. You know, people think that just because we've, you know, been blessed with, you know, rights, like voting rights, right to education, etc., we still have a long way to go. It's only been 101 years, I believe, since the first time we've gotten, you know, the freedom to vote. And, you know, you can't even forget the amount of this amount of sexism and misogyny that has existed and is still existing in our current society, right? Because you can't unlearn centuries and decades and, you know, centuries and centuries and centuries of hate, right? It takes a long, long time to do that. And, you know, sexual assault, it's still a big thing, you know, child abuse is also, and, you know, the suicide rates, it all, you know, falls down to feminism. Like, we need to do something about it. Just because we have the same rights as men, and we don't even have the same rights as men. You know, there are some things that women don't have, or women, you know, should have, but they don't, like, you know, the right for abortion. Also, to get your tubes tied, you need to get a man's permission, and you need to, you know, have at least 2 children before you decide what to do with your own body, right? It's unfair, and it's wrong. And even women in the workforce. Some women face sexism, some women aren't even allowed in the workforce. So even though we still done a lot in the past 2 decades, a lot of decades, there's still lots more to go, and we haven't even reached, you know, true equality yet. So that's why I think feminism is still relevant and will be relevant for years and years and years.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you participate our program, our studio. Thank you, everyone. We can continue this English program. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.